Hey, this is Brian from DisableMyCable.com, and today I want to give you an update on my Verizon 5G home internet after 1.5 years. And I want to tell you about a problem I had with my 5G home internet and my Ring Doorbell. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I use 5G home internet as my one and only source of internet access. I work from home, so reliability is super important to me. In the 1.5 years that I've used it, I've had very good experience with the reliability of Verizon 5G home internet. I've had basically zero downtime in the last 6 months. I have not had to reboot my gateway at all during that time. I'm on the 300 megabit per second plan, and I usually see download speeds between 200 and 300 megabits per second. The lowest speed I've measured lately was 86 megabits per second. But that's pretty rare. Most often it's above 200 and sometimes even more than 300. Note that there's also a lower cost 100 megabit per second plan, which will obviously have lower speeds. Now let's talk about the problem I had with my Ring Doorbell, specifically the Ring Chime. The Chime is a device that connects to your Wi-Fi network and plays a sound when someone presses the button on your Ring Doorbell. One day over 6 months ago, all of my Ring Chime devices suddenly disconnected from my Wi-Fi network and were impossible to reconnect. Note that all of my Ring cameras still worked fine. I figured the problem was caused by a Ring Chime firmware update, and unfortunately Ring doesn't publish any information on firmware updates, so there wasn't much I could do. To get my doorbell to work, I ended up just getting an old iPad that I had and setting it up to play the chime when someone rang the doorbell and just leaving this in my living room plugged in all the time. But recently I decided out of the blue to try my chimes again, and lo and behold, they just worked after I plugged them in. So I went online, did some research, and found this thread on Reddit where another Verizon user had the exact same problem. They say, until now everything worked perfectly. A week ago my chime suddenly lost connection and just flashed blue. My doorbell was still working fine. I tried resetting it and reconnected to Wi-Fi, but it then went back to flashing blue and would say no connection in device health. So that's the exact same problem that I had with my Ring Chime devices. Other users in that thread said the problem went away when they switched from pass-through mode to regular mode on their Verizon gateway. So the problem is definitely related to the Verizon gateway in pass-through mode. Now, as the thread said, pass-through mode is not the default setting on the Verizon gateway, so the vast majority of users probably didn't have this problem. It's only people who tweak their settings like me and enabled pass-through mode who probably had this problem, which might be why it took so long to fix. Looking at the Verizon software release history, I do see a System 8.6 update that happened recently. It's possible that this latest firmware update fixed the problem. The changelog only lists performance, stability, and security improvements, so it's impossible to say for sure if that was the true fix, but it seems likely. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to force software updates on your Verizon gateway. You just get them at the whim of Verizon. So if you have a device that's not working with your Verizon gateway and you don't have this firmware update, try disabling pass-through mode if you have enabled it. The default state is off, like I said, so if you didn't enable it, it's already off and you don't need to worry about it. I'll leave a link in the description to an article that talks more about pass-through mode. I still use pass-through mode for other reasons that I describe in that article. Now, this whole Ring Chime problem was definitely an inconvenience for me, but at least it shows that Verizon is still supporting their products and releasing software updates. To be fair, I can't say for sure if Verizon caused the problem. My hunch is that a Verizon firmware update did cause the problem, but since there's so little information on firmware releases, especially from Ring, it's hard to tell who is at fault. Aside from that issue, the reliability of Verizon 5G home internet has been great for me, and I still recommend it for home internet access. Like I said, the problem with the Ring Doorbell probably didn't affect the vast majority of Verizon users who have Ring Doorbells. And ultimately, there was a firmware fix and a workaround. For my full review of Verizon 5G home internet, including some difficulties I had setting up my account, check out the link in the description below. If I encounter any other problems with my Verizon 5G home internet, I will make a video about it and let you know. So please subscribe for the latest news, whether good or bad, on Verizon 5G home internet. If this video was helpful to you, please like it and check out my website, disablemycable.com, for a full review of Verizon 5G home internet, as well as ways to save money on streaming TV services. Thanks a lot.